Okay. New week, new day, new things.
It's the second day of the week, but it feels like a lot has happened. I know.
And the last time we did this
hatukumaliza.
Mambo ilienda segemnege ni kama Ruto alikata internet tena.
With the other accomplice, aka Safaricom.
Yeah, ikabidi we postponed it, but we are back.
Welcome. I mean, Safaricom really betrayed us, eh?
It has always betrayed us.
I mean, Safaricom really pulled a number on us, and I think in the long list of traitors, Safaricom is definitely up there. Sorry, I didn't mean to start the conversation with. I mean, to be honest, the traitors are revealing themselves and have been revealing themselves from the beginning of this movement. And we're going to see a lot more of it. But by and large, you cannot surpass or press the will of the majority. Yeah.
Now, we are here today to talk about the Occupy movement.
Occupy everywhere.
Occupy everywhere.
Yes.
The hashtag they say is Ruto must go. Now, wacha tuanzie hapa.
Yes.
Ruto must go.
Yes.
I think the battle is not between young people or the youth and the president. The battle is between the youth and the system.
Right.
Now,
it's what Ruto represents. It's not just him, it's everything that he represents and the system that he is the chief pioneer.
And he's trying to recreate it, to fit him.
Absolutely. And we can see that he's trying to recreate it with the brazen reappointments of those 6 cabinet secretaries.
Now, let's begin with the cabinet.
Yeah.
Constitutionally.
Yeah.
What are the qualifications of one being a cabinet member? Because we had someone who lacks a degree in medicine being a cabinet secretary for medicine. And we are having someone who even has no clue on okay, I don't have to mention him, but he doesn't have a clue.
Mention them. Kama hukusoma maze.
Let's say someone like the former CS Kipchumba Murkomen.
Yeah.
You are a cabinet secretary, but you are there on public social media. Nimevaa saa ya milioni moja, nimevaa sijui belt ya elfu kadhaa. Constitutionally, this conversation began online, that accountability. What should the president be considering first when selecting the cabinet?
I think one of the key issues I think is on top of everyone's mind, and this is something that has been very clear in this movement, is that you have to pick competent persons. Like, competence is really, surely, the minimum.
Okay.
Even now, Derek, if you are to apply for a job as a bank manager, right? And you have never worked in a bank, you've never worked in the financial sector, you don't even know how to balance your own budget in your family. What business do you have being a bank manager? And even those are the competencies, even with your housekeeper. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So in all jobs, we require, in the very least, that you are qualified for that position and that you are competent enough in terms of skills, in terms of experience, in terms of expertise, to be able to do that job. And what we've seen, not only with the cabinet secretaries, by the way, we've also seen with the PSs, who are supposed to be the technical policy makers, right? Technical people within the ministries. But even them, they don't even have competence. So this thing of hiring political affiliates, right?
Yeah.
Is what has got us to where we are as a country.
Paying back loyalty.
Exactly. And I'm sure there could be people who are loyal but are still competent. So that the issue of competence is really one of the priority areas. The second thing is that you have integrity. You must have a clean record. There cannot even be a suspicion of any involvement in any graft cases or any dodgy dealings or any dodgy procurement dealings and things like that. You must have a clean record, because if you have to fight corruption, you have to have the moral integrity to be able to fight corruption. But if you yourself are corrupt and then you're getting into a system and then furthering really that culture of corruption, you're not helping the nation. So competence and integrity are really the key, one of the key minimums that we ask for cabinet secretaries.
It is less than 2 years since the current government took office, and in less than that period of 5 years, tulianza na finance bill. it was
2023.
Yeah, it was taken back to Parliament. The youth called for.
Is it last year or this year? Because last year there was also another finance bill that we heavily
the one that
participated on. And people also gave a lot of recommendations for that one. Remember the housing levy and that conversation came from there.
Yes.
So in fact the angst that people were feeling coming into the finance bill 2024 is that already last year hamkutusikiza. Right?
Yeah.
We gave our recommendations, we gave our input, and nothing was listened to. The PS of housing kept on going around doing media interviews trying to convince us that the housing levy is a good thing for the country, but they're not being clear. Who is going to get those homes? How are they going to be built? What is the criteria of issuing those homes? Who are you going to house? Really? No. This was a new 2.0 version of that. And so this is the thing. And then 1 year later, you don't see those homes.
Yeah.
You understand? So already, what wamekasirika, just getting into now 2024 finance bill, is that where is this money going? And then you also have now corruption scandals almost daily. One of the corruption scandals that I think really was one of the straws that broke the camel's back, because we can talk about the straws that broke the camel's back, is the fake fertilizer. Until today, nobody has been held accountable for that. People had massive losses in terms of farming.
When the parliament evacuated the guy.
Exactly, he was supposed to be impeached and then they let him go. And yet he is the one at the helm. So if he is not responsible, then who is? If he is not responsible, then who is? People have lost lives and damage to property through the floods, and they were not taken care of by the government. So this anxiety around the government has been going on for a very long time. And what is very clear is that nobody is being held accountable. If nobody is being held accountable, then we go for the boss. Kama wewe huwezi kazi, basi uende nyumbani. Which is why Ruto must go.
The citizens are calling for the resignation of the president, but constitutionally, can citizens collect votes, let's say, do a referendum of their own and impeach the president?
No, the president can be impeached by parliament. But we know, given the numbers, the tyranny of numbers in parliament, and that is unlikely, right? It's not likely that it's going to happen. I mean, just given the fact that the MPs would not listen to their citizens. When we were saying vote no, walikuja na kiburi wakasema, even our own MP of Kilifi North voted yes when we were very clear to him and to the other members of parliament to vote no. Alafu walipatiwa shilingi milioni 2 kila mtu. They confessed. In fact, EACC, I'm wondering why nothing has been done about that. How can you confess to us that you were given 2 million shillings to vote one way when the citizens have asked you to vote another way? This is also the other problem, is that there is lack of independence. There is lack of independence, and without independent institutions, then we are beholden to one power, and that is not what was envisioned in the Constitution. There was separation of powers for a reason. That unlike zamani za uko enzi za kale, you used to be an MP and you can also be a CS. We need you to separate those roles. If you're legislative in the legislative arm, then your role is to make laws, oversight the executive, and represent the people. Executive is the one to do what? To implement projects. We can't have members of parliament implementing CDF. CDF already has been declared unconstitutional, but yet you see how these members of parliament are behaving. So this is the problem. We have a serious problem in governance. We have a serious problem of the lack of independence of institutions that were meant to be independent under the Constitution for a reason, so that we can have enough checks and balances, so that nobody has excess power. Because that's what we are seeing now. We are seeing a government with excessive power.
It is already this problem, the excessive power. People doing as the people in the political class want, like satisfying your bosses.
Yes.
Already there is the demonstrations, but the question is...
In fact, I think they look at us just as votes. Yeah. They don't look at us as people.
But will you continue demonstrating? Or now, what next? What are some of the things that now, to correct the system, can be implemented?
But we've already laid out those things. What next?
Yes, the things have been laid out.
What next is for the government to implement, is for the president to take things seriously. Because unless there are serious changes, people will continue to be on the streets. Unless those demands are met, people will continue to be on the streets. Unless you deal with corruption, people will be on the streets. We were told, whistleblowers who came forward and told us about the shady dealings that are going on with JKIA, with the Adani group from India, that there was going to be a very shady deal that would put JKIA at risk. And that's why people are occupying JKIA every day until we solve the problems in this country. Until there's accountability, until people are held to book, we are not going to stop. This is not ending.
Today there is the if Occupy JKIA.
Yeah.
Let's go back down in history. In Thailand in 2008, the yellow shirt occupied an airport. It was a protest against the one called Thaksin Shinawatra and his successors. And The red shirts, there were two colors. Remember back in Azimio with blue
Orange
and yellow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the blue and yellow. But back then we had the red shirts and the yellow shirts. The red shirts were supporters of Shinawatra, and the yellow shirts represented the opposing team of Mr. Thaksin, who were against, and then they had the coup to overthrow the government. In Egypt, 2011, people from diaspora funded the demonstration to lead a revolution to bring the end of reign of Mubarak. Right now in Kenya, we are now occupying JKIA after already 2 nations have done that. What is the implication to the government?
You know, I think there is a desire to continuously try and get the attention of the president, because it's clear that he's not listening. You know, they say that protests are the language of the unheard. Protests are the language of the unheard. And when people continue to feel unheard, they will continue to protest. And why do they continue to feel unheard? Because you are doubling down every single day. There's police brutality every single day. We know that the police are the ones who are sending, and politicians are the ones who are sending police, right? To disrupt peaceful protesters. Basically, well, they're doing the complete opposite of what we are asking them to do. A, to allow peaceful protests to continue. B, to guard peaceful protesters and to guard property. But they're not doing that. Right now, if you look at social media today, the Greens have been allowed to reign free in CBD with their rooms. If that was us, this would have been a completely different conversation. So we can see the tactics of the government. We can see the propaganda that they were spreading. And last week, if you noticed, aura for aura. You bring your propaganda, we bring our propaganda. Because we would not be seeing propaganda and these efforts to undermine peaceful protests if the government was really listening. Today is what we've seen what paid protests look like, because those goons were paid. Those goons were paid with signs of let Ruto, give Ruto time, or whatever it is that they were saying. Of course, in fact, you saw no women. Yeah, that tells you something, that those are just paid goons. And they have continued this strategy, and it has not worked. I don't know why they continue this strategy instead of doing what is right. And you know why they don't do what is right? Because they know that they are all implicated in graft. They know that if one goes down, we all go down, and that's why they're protecting their own interests. And what is really, really disappointing is that the youth, our magoons, wanakubali kutumiwa na our politicians. And isn't it the same Ruto who said that serikali yake itakuwa ni ya vijana na mama mboga na boda boda? Why is he using the boda boda like this? Alafu hao boda boda pia ni wajinga kidogo, manake wanapiga wateja wao. Those are your customers. Those are your day-to-day customers. I mean, really. And you can see now retaliation happen. I think 2 bodas were beaten and had their bodas burnt down. But so when you're saying anarchy, really, who is the person who's doing anarchy? It's not the peaceful protesters who are just demanding for change. And I would imagine if we all love this country, and we want to see the best for ourselves and for future generations, that we would be on the same page. Do we not all want to fight corruption? Do we not all want to fight the lack of adherence to the rule of law? I mean, really? They cannot come and convince me, really. Especially the people who are in government and are lawyers, who should know better. Kipchumba Murkomen, Kithure Kindiki. You know, Kithure Kindiki was my lecturer in my first master's. He taught me public international law. So it's quite surprising, as my lecturer of public international law and human rights, is the one who is advocating for another black country to be invaded. You want us to go and fight another white man's war.
We already have the police brutality, the killings, the abductions.
With no accountability. Even today, you're seeing vehicles, unmarked vehicles, tinted vehicles, unmarked vehicles, right?
We already have footages. There are footages of policemen, people in civilian claiming to be policemen. Let's take an instance of Alvin Kitero, who was abducted in broad daylight. And they were claiming that
with his children and his wife in the car, and he had just come from church.
And then they said that they are the DCIs who had come to pick him up. Constitutionally, do the DCI have that right to abduct someone?
They have the ability to arrest, not abduct. There are systems in place for a reason. And by the way, this president of ours promised us he made a promise. He promised us no extrajudicial killings under my watch. But here we are with extrajudicial killings. Here we are with the arbitrary arrests, abductions. The Constitution is alive and well. It has not been suspended. The Constitution has not been suspended. If you arrest somebody, you arrest them. You tell them what they have been charged for. You take them to a police station. Unaweka kwa OB. Kesho yake unapeleka kotini. Kama ni weekend, unaona. But what have you seen police doing? What have you seen DCI doing?
And even people come from there, they speak really. Kuna mmoja alisema alifungiwa choo.
Amewekwa kwa maji. I mean, that's the thing. They have not only killed people, dismembered Kenyans. I mean, this is a government that treats its citizens like this. This man hates us. He really must hate us. Because your life doesn't have any meaning to him, apparently. Ni kama unamsumbua hapa when you're asking for accountability, really? So we're seeing the judicial killings, we're seeing those abductions. You know, people are being held incommunicado until today. Ni watu wameanza kupiga kelele ndio watu wanaachiliwa. Kama there's another lady called Tabitha. I don't know if you remember her from Citizens Assembly. She was crying that her son, Gibson, I think, couldn't be found. She couldn't find him for weeks and weeks and weeks. Ameenda morgue, ameenda police station, kila police station, ameenda hospitali, hampati mtoto wake. That's how people made those on social media is when now suddenly that guy was released. So this is the thing that we're saying, is that the rule of law applies to everybody.
Let's speak about social media because all these things began online. Even if we became physical.
Yes.
Especially Twitter.
Yes. Hey, Twitter is lit. Yo. Hey.
What is the role of social media in leadership, governance, and the law right now?
I think the big role that social media is playing is very quick sharing of information. Of course, that comes with propaganda. I mean, yesterday they were trying to say that Hanifa has a big new car. As if, you know, I'm telling you, this government propaganda is hilarious. Why you just feel like telling them, just try harder. Give us propaganda that is maybe believable, you know?
Yeah.
So it's that quick mobilization, number one, quickly sharing information, and then the internet sleuths are really doing a very good job. People are digging in the archives for information. Nothing is passing us by. Nothing is passing us by. Kama juzi walienda walipeleka magunzi kwa ofisi ya on phase 1 and we got to know that immediately, right? Somebody has been arrested in Diani. We got to know that immediately. So there is a way in which information is being shared so quickly and so timely that we're able to come together and respond to whatever situation that arises. And again, until today, we're not seeing these goons being arrested. We're seeing random peaceful people being arrested. Why? Now they've got us rulers working overtime. But then you know DOB as number 6. Hey, I'm telling you, the jobs we have now in this, it's crazy, you know. And then that's the thing, it's only the ones who are able to get some sort of social media push, because there's so many others that are not on social media. Watu hao hawajui wako wapi. Kama kuna wawili walikuwa hapa Kilifi, you know, and they were part of a case that I was doing, helping to release these protesters. I went back. 2 of them are still in jail, in the police cells, and you're wondering, Allah, why are you guys still here? It's because they don't have contacts for people at home. So those guys are in jail when the court has released them because they can't fulfill this administrative requirement of giving a chief's letter or something like that. I mean, for me as a human rights lawyer, my heart breaks every day, you know, where human rights are blatantly being violated, you know, not respected. It's the lawlessness is not coming from us. The lawlessness is coming from the state.
So you're a human rights lawyer, no? And nakuonanga demonstration kaa zote.
Mimi ni mtu wa haki yetu mazee. Mimi ni mtu wa haki yetu. This is not my first rodeo. Nimekula tear gas mazee. Mpaka nilikuwa niko na makamafua hapo. And it's nilikula tear gas Mombasa, nikakula tear gas. The only place it was that was peaceful.
Mombasa umeenda demonstration?
Nilienda Occupy Mombasa.
Nairobi jana.
Nairobi nilienda to Uhuru Park for the Mashujaa concert. At least that day was peaceful.
Kilifi ndo Lydia Femicide.
Mini Siku Lydia and Femicide, but I was part of the group.
Na jina yako inakuwa kwa poster sana. Nikishikwa na kupigia.
Kazi ya kanisa hii, I'm telling you, we're going to go broke, but I hope God is going to provide. So this is the thing, and you know, it's not just lawyers who've come through, it's doctors who've come through, it's literally everybody. You've seen people becoming active citizens. Yeah. I think for the first time, it's not a thing for human rights guys peke yake.
Yeah,
you know, because usually in human rights guys na sijui watu wa NGOs na INGOs, but now you see that literally, and this is why this is so powerful, because it's not with a few, it is literally everybody. It's an awakening of the entire country, and when I say country, it's Kenyans all over the world. Watu walikuwa IMF headquarters juzi. Watu wame
so wanasemanga finance bill ni proposal ya IMF. Sasa kuna hii
na sasa hizi unaona leo kwa news wanasema ati gavana wamerudi kwa IMF kuomba pesa.
But you remember the president said he not.
You understand? And that's the thing. It's those lies that are driving us crazy, because you lie to us over and over and over again. Imagine being in a relationship with somebody ambaye anakugaslight hivyo. You have two of these, you should give me one. You should give to me one.
I should give
saizi watu wakiona. No, that guy's a liar.
Unataka gani?
This one. That guy is a liar.
The president.
He's a liar.
Okay.
And that's what we have right now, a deficit of trust. So that's why when he says anything, we don't believe him. And sure enough, that not believing him has saved us from being gaslit further. Because now we're not surprised at the betrayals. You know.
Yeah.
You know, that you're saying you're not going to pass finance bill, but then you're passing the appropriations bill. You're telling us you're going to scrap money from the first lady's office and second lady's office as spouse of the first cabinet secretary. I don't know.
The spouse of the prime.
Alafu saizi bado anataka kurudisha pesa ya first lady.
I think the first lady complained about it.
I mean,
and then the second lady
I thought they're rich. They don't need our taxes. Jusa anasema, President anasema ati he's going to build churches. Really? As in every day this guy just makes more mistakes and more mistakes and more mistakes and more mistakes and more mistakes. I almost feel sorry for the guy.
But one thing that fascinated me with the finance bill is when the second lady, when the first lady was the second lady, bila alipanda first lady, akaongezewa pesa ya ofisi. So
you know that happened also last year during the supplementary budget. You see, they were given money, and then the supplementary budget, they were given more money. I mean, what is this? You know, when the president tells us that we have to tighten our belts, but clearly you guys are not tightening any belt. Those are the things that were angering guys. Is that if we really truly were embarking on austerity measures, and we can see that you guys are also in the lead of embarking on austerity measures, then we wouldn't have been this angry. But when we see you flying everywhere, when we see your spouses being given money, when we see all these corruption scandals, and then now you come back and ask us for more money. And in fact, IMF, we're going to have one conversation one day of just IMF. And this neo-colonial structure that they have established through years.
For African countries. Also.
Absolutely.
But I remember
and countries in the global south. Like, listen, IMF is a colonizer. And colonizers are alive and well. And this is why they want to take over this country in one way or another. Whether it is stealing our resources, whether it is giving, working with these corrupt leaders to get mining deals, whether it is, now we know that kumbe there's gold somewhere because there's a truck ambayo anguka sijui mahali that had sodium cyanide that is used for gold. Oh, gold iko wapi? Let me tell you, the truth is coming out. At William said the truth is coming out, and really the truth is coming out. And this is something that they can hire all the goons they want, right? They can abduct how many Kenyans they want. They can kill how many Kenyans they want. It's not ending. This is a spiritual war, by the way, let me tell you.
He said he'll report you guys to God.
This is a spiritual war. God is doing a number on him. This is not possible without God's intervention. It really is a godly war. It is really just good versus evil.
How does it sit with the LSK when the president made the threats in was it Bomet the other day?
The one for enough is enough.
Yeah.
I mean, you will follow our president, Madam President Faith Odhiambo, and you will know the stand that we're taking as LSK. It is consistent, rule of law, and that applies also to the president. The president cannot continuously threaten Kenyans and embark on measures to ensure that people do not exercise their rights. And again, we won't take this man seriously until there's accountability. Those killer cops, those people who are, those militia who are abducting people, please don't come to us, Mr. President, and threaten us. What you need to do is just go do your job.
What are the implications of involving yourself with just a peaceful protest? Because the moment people are gathering, the police are already there to throw tear gas at them.
Yeah. Implications in what sense? I mean,
like, is it wrong for people because when especially Nairobi ndio mmekusanyika tu ama waone tu hizi sura zenu zinakaa vurugu
wakikuona na flag, sasa flag imekuwa sasa the weapon. You know, Article 37, the Bill of Rights is a very important chapter in the Constitution of Kenya 2010, right? Yeah. And I just want to let you guys know, or even just remind you guys, that we have the Bill of Rights in the Constitution, but we also have Article 25 and 26 of the Constitution that says that any international instruments, conventions, treaties that we have signed become part of our law. And also general rules of international law apply to in our jurisdiction. So it's not only the rights in the Bill of Rights that we're talking about, it's also commitments, and these are binding commitments that the government has made by signing all these international treaties, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and its protocol on the rights of women in Africa. Listen, the right to peacefully picket is guaranteed in the Constitution. We have the right to express ourselves in the Constitution. That guy might not like it, but guess what? It is our right. In fact, we do not have to ask for permission from police. The notification is for them to ensure that they help make sure that things go smoothly. It's not for them to tell us that yes or no, you cannot protest or you can protest. What do you mean? I can even stand out right now and protest. Says it's
against the laws to occupy certain places like the JKI.
Well, protected areas, yes, but JKI is not protected. There are only small little areas in JKI that are protected. Otherwise, JKI as a whole is not a protected area.
So
it's not.
So it was wrong.
The number of letters that have come from the IG that are just completely legal, lacking any legal basis, as every other letter is an attempt to thwart these constitutional rights. Because if you're saying that you have intelligence, credible information that they're going to be goons, so as you deal with the goons, but why now you're going to tell us, all of us, all millions of us, that we're not supposed to protest? That is unconstitutional. In of itself, we don't even need to go to a court to tell us that. The rights are there. We have them, right? You know you are born with them. They're not given to you. Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
So this attempt to misrepresent what the law says, we can see it over and over and over again, and it's also just
action. Let's address these two things. Number one, there is actually a policeman asked me that you get a lawyer ask her, is it constitutional right to deploy police in a situation like Haiti, or was it the work to be deployed to the KDF? Then the president comes not deploy KDF to the streets.
You know, we need more time. We need more time for Haiti. We need more time for Haiti, so that we can break this down properly, including the constitutional challenges that were filed in court, because it is the most wild thing. This is why I was complaining about this guy being my public international law lecturer, because it's just like, dude, but you taught me. You know this is illegal. Alafu ule ukarabati walikuwa nafanya at the UN level, right?
Yeah.
To try and pass resolutions to sanctify this thing and sanitize this thing. I mean, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever, like, this was such a bad move. From a legal perspective, from an ethical and moral perspective. I mean, are you going to really occupy the first liberated black country in the world? Understanding the history of Haiti and the role that these colonialists have played in plunging that country into darkness? I mean, it's the most immoral thing to send our troops to Haiti. It's so immoral. And you did it in our faces without consulting, and when we're asking you to consult, you're refusing to listen to citizens. When we were all saying no. We were all saying no.
The youth occupied the parliament, took away the mess.
Yeah.
Constitutionally, what does that mean?
Yeah, it has a very big significance, because that is the symbol of that arm of government. So symbolically, I mean, obviously parliament is still functional and whatnot, but symbolically, the citizens took the power back
To themselves.
and we don't know where that mess is.
Wait, I thought it was found and taken
Was
back.
it found?
I heard Washangula said that thing is found and it was taken back. The
Really?
The boy who had taken the
Is it why they went to give the right to massacre people?
Because they said the boy who took that was even in court.
Oh really? I
Yeah.
have to look into that. I didn't
And-
know. Maybe that one passed me by.
And he was saying he didn't steal that mess, he just
He just
yeah,
he was giving it for safekeeping.
yeah.
No, but it was very symbolic. It was very, very symbolic. It's just like, if you're not going to listen to us, when we are pleading with you, wallahi, we were pleading with them.
So right now we don't have a parliament.
Second reading, we were pleading. No, they're just on recess, but they're coming back. The second reading, we were pleading with them. The third reading, we were pleading with them, and they were not listening to us. I mean, surely, your primary job there is representation of the people. You're the voice of the people. We can't all be in parliament, right?
Yeah.
But I would imagine with the heavy consultations that were happening during that period of time, wallahi hapo ndo nilikuwa ninaenda kwa ex usiku. I even wonder what I used to do with my life before finance bill. Sio Mwango Capital, sio Julian Zamboko, sio Ramanyang. Like we were being taught. There was so much civic education, and that's the thing with the internet and social media right now. There is so much civic education. Ukiingia TikTok ni civic education. Ukiingia X, ukiingia YouTube, yani everywhere people are talking about matters of governance. I would imagine that people in leadership should be happy. You know, we have a woke citizenry, we have a very educated citizenry. Like Kenyans are educated and are willing to engage and are ready to engage. And I think that's what we need to, particularly with the youth. You need to take hold of your future, of your present, because your voices need to be heard. And at all levels, hey, at the county level, as well as the national level. Devolution needs to work. Devolution is not working. We just devolved power and devolved corruption, but we didn't devolve good governance
And accountability.
Exactly.
There is this request that the number of cabinet secretaries to be reduced.
It should be the minimum 14. The constitution says 14 minimum, 24 max. We should be at minimum.
Personally, do you think it's right?
Right?
Depending with the current situation.
We don't have money. We don't have money, and we have debts. Seriously. They can't be running the country like it's your own private kitty. These are taxpayers' money.
Walisema uko na shares kwa serikali.
Hiyo mambo ya shares kwanza ni upuzi wa Gashagwa ndo alianza kusema. And you know, the thing is, it was silly, but I'm glad he said it, because now we can draw those parallels from when we were a colony in the British East African Company.
Yeah.
Right? No, we want this to be a nation, and you have to have prudent use of public resources. You have to address the misuse of public funds. You have to ensure austerity measures, right? You have to ensure austerity measures. We don't have money. We don't have money. Cut those cabinet secretaries into half, right? Merge some of those ministries. Get rid of the advisors who clearly are not advising or misadvising the president, right? I'm not seeing priorities from the government. I'm not seeing. How can you tell us on Sunday he wants to build churches? Really? Trying to appeal to that base. I mean, this is just immoral at this point in time. And this is why I'm just like, this man must want to be out. This man must really, 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 really want to be removed. Because every day he shows us contempt. He shows contempt for the citizens of Kenya. He shows us so much contempt. He hates us, actually.
Now, as we end this, it's said to be leaderless,
tribeless. Hatuna ukabila huku.
Now, let's go. Tuanze na uzuri wake. Watu wanasema the youth should get a leader to speak on their behalf.
We don't need a leader. People are speaking. You have Kasamuel. Hatujamappoint kama spokesperson, lakini anafanya very good job. Kuna Masitoras anafanya very good job. We didn't need to have a meeting for us to decide that they are going to speak. No.
What
the
are the
people
benefits?
I imagine. This is an organic movement, and let it continue being organic, because in the way it's organic is what gives it life and what gives it legitimacy. We've said we don't want leaders because once we choose Derek, utakuwa compromise. Watakuja kuambia boss, tutapenda hii mambo ya social media, acha tukufanyie studio, alafu si uanze kupunguza hizo posts zako kidogo. You see, then now the movement ends with you because you've been compromised. You cannot. What we have is organizers at different levels. Okay. People are organizing within WhatsApp groups, within small communities, that is what needs to happen. Nobody needs a leader.
We are already leaders.
We are already leader. There's a leader in each and every one of us. In fact, we're not leaderless, we're leaderful. We are leaderful by the me unajua mtu ambaye yuko Machakos. Lakini si those guys are protesting. Unajua mtu yuko Wasingishu, mimi sijui. But those guys wanna protest. Maze, let me tell you, this is the thing about organic movements. They're unstoppable.
So that means the president.
Until there is change. What next? Ask me what next.
What next?
When we've changed.
Tell us.
Otherwise, right now, our job is remaining the same. Fight corruption, fight.
But you know, youth have no job, so there's a job.
That's what I'm telling you. It's every day.
Namka 8 narudi kwa nyumba.
Hii ndo kazi yetu sasa, tuko kwa internet hivi.
Si alisema tufinye keyboard.
Si alisema keyboard. Digital economy alisema. Ndo hii sasa we created for ourselves. So and even that finance bill was trying to add taxes to content creators. I mean, that guy, his missteps are too many. I don't know if it's like when you have so much power that now like common sense goes out the window. I don't understand, but something has happened to this president.
He was shown a little. You remember he met guys on TikTok.
Oh really?
Yeah. So I think these guys showed him a glimpse of how TikTok is or how much TikTok earns, because they say as per the social media report, Kenyans use TikTok.
I'm not even on TikTok. Somebody used to teach me how to use TikTok. The Gen Zs are idea millennial. This idea was like
Dan is a good TikToker.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Atakufunza ku TikTok.
Baze.
So there was
mimi ngoja TikTok iletwe X. Do I now catch up with what's going on in TikTok?
So he met those guys actually, and I think they showed him a glimpse of how much that platform.
That guy just wants. I think when he has cabinet meetings, those cabinet meetings are okay. Wewe unachukua pesa wapi? Na wewe unaweza kutoa pesa wapi? So ipani carbon credits. See, we can make some money off of that. I think that's how it is. It's not really to enlift people, right? It's not to address impoverishment. It's not to address the lack of opportunities. It's not to address the issues that the youth are really facing in Kenya at the moment, joblessness, telling us that tunataka kutupeleka Saudia. What the hell? To go do driver jobs and to go clean people's houses. And by the way, Derek, I've done a lot of work on human trafficking, anti-human trafficking, right? I started doing that work when I was at the Cradle doing child trafficking work. Then I moved to general human trafficking, sex trafficking. So I've been on this rodeo. Okay. Yeah. I used to sit at the National Steering Committee on Counter-Trafficking. So I've seen so many reports coming from those embassies abroad and whatnot, especially in the Middle East. I mean, people are coming back in body bags. People are coming back maimed. People are coming back tortured, traumatized. Like we know, we have so much evidence year in, year out. of the kind of employers that those people are and how they treat black people, how they treat Kenyans, right? And then the lack of accountability for those agencies, these are employment agencies. Na hizo employment agencies zinakuwa owned na nani? Exactly. That's why you don't find anything happening to them. The Ministry of Labor will year in, year out tell us, oh, they're cracking down on those illegal agencies. Oh, they're cracking down. Cracking down, how many years are you still cracking down? We passed the Counter-Trafficking in Persons Act in 2010. We are in 2014 and we still have rampant trafficking in this country. Maybe that's an episode for another day. We are still an origin, transit and destination country for trafficking. What does that mean? That we supply to other countries. People pass through us because of our porous borders and corruption of our people who are in power. And then we are a destination country. People come here. People are brought here to be exploited. And mostly it's sexual exploitation. So the government telling us that they're taking people to Saudi, that is insults. That is an insult, really. That is such an insult. How? Without any assurances of safety of those people. And I can tell you, guys even go to the embassy. Alafu unaambiwa leta ID ama passport. That's what the trafficker has taken for bondage.
Yeah.
You think that the trafficker is going to give you that's one of the first things that they do. Once umefika kwa airport, wanachukua passport yako ndo usitoke. That's one of the ways in which they bond people. And it's bondage. It's labor bondage. Unalipiwa tikiti, unaambiwa sasa hii ndio deni yako tumekuleta huko. So now you have to first pay off that debt. This is why it's called modern day slavery. Yes.
Then you make your money.
And you will be paying off that debt for 5 years as you're being tortured. Upatiwi chakula, upatiwi any medical attention. You're not allowed to speak to your relatives. You're being, it's bad. So for the government to tell us that is their solution to unemployment in Kenya, I mean, seriously. It's an insult. It's an insult to us. And then you're frustrating the very jobs that you guys are making for yourselves. Kujifanyia content.
Kuuza nini zako hapo. Now let's say if all these are, just the last question, when all this is a success, what next?
See, then we'll celebrate our new independence.
With fresh elections or with the current president?
Absolutely. With fresh elections, we can't have the current president because you know what he's shown us? He will never change.
Do you think he'll resign?
Oh, he's never going to resign.
But he's going to be there.
But Kenya is going to be very difficult to govern.
So when he's between the rock and the hard place,
it's going to be very difficult to govern, and his MO is to now just resort back to using force. And the more he uses force, the worse this is going to get for him. His reputation that he has spent 2 years trying to build was over in 1 month. Right?
Yeah.
So his friends in those Western countries have already decided to give him side-eye. He's come heavy against Ford Foundation.
Yeah.
Forgetting that, Ford Foundation, their grants are open. We know that your wife herself, Rachel Ruto, got money from Ford Foundation. Why isn't she listed? Because today the Public Benefits Authorities agency were saying that those organizations that have been listed getting Ford Foundation money should be investigated. Sasa kwa nini why have you stopped there? Why have you not added Rachel Ruto and the rest?
Because she's the...
So you seeing how this man will use all institutions to fight his little wars. And that's why we need a system overhaul. We need a system overhaul. It can't be that an MCA who was distributing money today is the one who's paying goons. We've seen him with his Range Rover in town. Lakini you're going for NGOs that are doing work on good governance as rule of law.
And trying to help people. I think
Sasa, hata kama you'll come for those organizations, the cat is out of the bag. We are all on the same page right now, even if you retaliate against those organizations, including Usikimye that was fighting for against femicide. You understand? A job that the government is not doing. Hussein Khalid, people who wamejitolea, they're the ones who are going for all of the funerals. We are the ones who are coordinating medical support for people who've been injured. I mean, the government has shown no remorse. No remorse, hata pole kwa familia, nothing. So you see where the president, his head is at and where his heart is at. He is only concerned with one thing and one thing only. Himself.
To that point, I think leo imekuwa refu and very informative. As we have, okay, I think we need to have a conversation on IMF, because IMF is a big deal in Africa. Malema has spoken about them.
Everyone has spoken
about them.
The spokesperson was trying to come to us to apologize. Watu walimtukana.
Sasa Kenya kuna chini.
Watu walimtukana. Kuna mtu alilipia LinkedIn Prime ndo apate email yake. Tumeambiwa watu wasalimie kwa email. Guys are not joking right now. And you can't undo what has happened right now, which is an awakening.
It's really cool.
It's an awakening. It's not just a few people, it's like the entire nation is on high alert. So it's never going to end anytime soon, until we see that there's an overhaul of the system and that we liberate our country from tyranny. Because until that happens, there will continue to be unrest.
Until then leaders have a lot to do, they have a lot to learn. They call me Movali Derek.
I'm Sophia Rajab.
She's a lawyer.
I am.
Na ukifika unapiga simu mbio.
Sasa mtaanza kunitumia kwa M-Pesa walai nilipe rent. Yo.
Sasa si tutachotanga huko kwingine.
Ama nipigie Ford Foundation.
Umeanza kusema
since Ford Foundation apparently is giving guys money. Sasa nipigie Ford nisikize.
Hadi mimi naona ni apply huko kidogo grant.
And the president was whining and dining with these guys in Washington DC.
I think the only problem is when he lives here and reaches here, he forgets what he did here.
You know, somebody I saw today that all the trips that were planned that were cancelled. Hey.
If he's not flying,
he's lying. I think he's flying and lying at the same time. He's multitasking. Trust me. But he's miscalculated so much, and I foresee, unfortunately, him continuing with that trend of making very many mistakes. I feel like he can't help it because he's like desperate.
He's in shambles.
He's desperate. Like all the things he's trying are not working. And you see, it's not just him who's desperate. It's all of his cronies. It's all of the people around him. Because they're the people who, as guys are not affected by this thing. Yeah. President Akwe office not, and it's just an issue of bad governance. It's not like we have a personal interest. The people who have personal interests because they have procurement deals, they have this deal, they have this deal, that deal,
Yeah.
So if he leaves, then we are all affected. These are the people who are paying grins.
If we decide to resign.
Hata huwezi to resign. I'm sure those guys are telling him you are nowhere. It's not even about the MPs not impeaching him. It's that they don't want him to resign because they're going to lose as well.
Protecting your interests.
Absolutely. When they say politics is a game of interest, I mean, I guess for us, yes, we're interested in good governance. Them, they're just interested in personal things, Now Wetangula wants to black out media
from
in parliament. I mean, seriously, they're going to try. It's not going to succeed. But then that's the thing. Every day they show us their hand. Wetangula should know better, but hey, he's protecting his own interests. But what does that mean that we cannot access parliamentary proceedings? What does that mean?
Actually, I usually say that it's not like right now.
Okay, Omtata today was really complaining. I think he's going to file something. That's why we need more okay Omtatas in parliament.
The only problem is I don't know what happens. Sometimes his filings meet some challenges.
He's doing a lot better than the average MP.
Then our Joker's MPK is also doing it.
Nani? PK ni nani?
Kasalase.
That guy has been redeemed partially because of the finance bill, him voting no. But that guy, he was talking about nuclear energy here in Kilifi as if he knows anything about it. Nilimwangalia na side hivi. I think I don't know if it was TV47 or what. I mean, that guy, what are you speaking on nuclear energy and you know nothing? Hapo ndo I lost a bit of respect. Well, yes, that and many things. Like he was at climate change conference where he couldn't even explain climate change. KCC. He's not a very smart guy.
The only good thing he said is they should all go home to the fresh election.
And that's the only thing that he said. And Kasamuel said that it's cheaper going through a fresh election than the billions we're losing in corruption every day.
See you guys again next week.
See you guys again next week in a few days. Who knows? We're maybe getting into a rhythm.
Yeah, actually, you ni kama ushachora lineup zingine 3 IMF.
Kuna mambo mengi ya kuzungumza.
So guys, take a break, grab a glass of water. Now make sure
maji ni muhimu.
Follow parliament proceedings kidogo juu one day we can talk about these motions in this parliament. Mnapichana. Kuna motion ati ni inherit land nilipe tax ama government ichukue sita hizo.
Hiyo ndio imagine. Can you imagine trying to convert freehold into leasehold? I mean, this guy really tried it. He really tried it. He really tried it. From wheelchairs to camper to pads to, I mean, seriously? Anyway,
see you
to
guys.
be continued. Kaini salam. I don't know. What do you usually tell them when you say goodbye? See you later. Ama, catch you on the flip side, or until we meet again.
Or catch you on the other side.
Stay vigilant.
Stay vigilant.
Eternal vigilance.